The emerald bracelet my mother wore on her wedding day sat in its velvet box on my dresser, untouched for 6 months since her funeral. I had planned to give it to my daughter Emily on her 30th birthday next month, continuing the tradition Mom had started with me. But as I stood in what used to be my childhood bedroom, watching my son-in-law Derek measure the walls while Emily sorted through boxes of my things, I realized that bracelet might be all I had left of the home I grew up in. "Mom, you really need to start packing," Emily said without looking up from the photo albums she was stacking. "Derek and I close on the house in 3 weeks." I stared at her, my throat tight. "Close on what house?" She finally met my eyes, and something in her expression made my stomach drop. "This house. Our house. Grandma left it to us, remember?" The room tilted slightly. I gripped the doorframe. "Emily, what are you talking about? Your grandmother left this house to me. I'm her daughter." Derek stopped measuring and exchanged a glance with Emily. That glance. I had seen it before, hadn't I? In the weeks after the funeral, when they kept showing up unannounced. When Derek spent hours in Mom's office, while Emily distracted me with talk about the estate. "Actually," Derek said, pulling a folder from his briefcase with the kind of casual confidence that made my skin crawl, "we have documentation that says otherwise." He handed me a will. It looked exactly like Mom's will, down to the slight coffee stain on the corner. But the words were wrong. So wrong. According to this document, Mom had left the house to Emily, her beloved granddaughter who faithfully cared for her in her final years. I had cared for Mom. Every day for 2 years. Emily had visited maybe twice a month, always with Derek, always asking Mom about her plans for the property. "This isn't real," I whispered, my hands shaking. "I have Mom's actual will." She showed it to me. We went over it together. Emily sighed, the kind of sigh you give a confused child. "Mom, we know this is hard. Grief does strange things to memory. Maybe you're mixing up what Grandma said she wanted with what was actually in the will. I'm not confused. You've been under a lot of stress," Derek added, his voice oozing fake sympathy. "Emily and I think maybe you should talk to someone. A professional. This fixation on staying in a house that isn't yours anymore, it's concerning." Concerning. That word hung in the air like a threat. "Get out," I said quietly. "Mom, get out of my house." After they left, I tore through every drawer, every box, every corner where Mom might have kept papers. The will I remembered her showing me, the real one, was gone. But I knew what it said. I had read it. Mom had been clear. "The house goes to you, Catherine. You're the one who stayed. You're the one who cared." That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept seeing Derek's smug face, kept hearing Emily call me confused. My own daughter. When had she learned to lie so smoothly? When had she decided that her inheritance was worth more than her integrity? At 3 a.m., I found myself in Mom's sewing room, the one room they hadn't invaded yet. Mom had spent hours here, creating quilts, mending clothes, hiding from Dad during their bad years before the divorce. I sat in her chair, and that's when I saw it. The photo album. Not the albums Emily had been boxing up. This one was different, older, hidden behind the sewing machine in a cubby I'd forgotten existed. Inside were pictures of me and Mom through the years. Me as a baby, my first day of school, my wedding, and tucked between the pages, in an envelope marked, "Catherine, open if anything happens," was the real will. My hands trembled as I read Mom's handwriting on the attached note. "If you're reading this, something made me hide this copy. Trust your gut. The house is yours. You earned it. You were here. You cared. Emily only sees $signs, and I'm sorry I didn't prepare you for that. The house goes to you. What she gets is contingent on her treating you with the respect you deserve. If she doesn't, she gets nothing from me. I won't reward cruelty. I love you, sweetheart. You were always enough. Mom," I cried then. Not quiet tears, but the kind of sobbing that comes from a place so deep you didn't know it existed. Because even from beyond the grave, Mom knew. She knew. The next morning, I called Richard Foster, the attorney who had handled Mom's estate. "Mr. Foster, we need to talk about my mother's will." "Of course, Catherine. What can I help you with?" "Did you ever prepare 2 versions of my mother's will?" Long pause. "Why do you ask?" Because my daughter has a document that claims my mother left her house to her, not to me. And I just found what I believe is the actual will hidden in my mother's sewing room. Another pause. Longer this time. Can you bring both documents to my office this afternoon? 3 hours later, I sat across from Mr. Foster while he examined both wills under a magnifying glass. His expression grew darker with each passing moment. The one your daughter has is a forgery, he finally said. A very good one, but a forgery nonetheless. The signature is traced, not original. And several clauses are inconsistent with your mother's wishes as she expressed them to me. Can we prove it? We can. And we will. Catherine, what your daughter has done is criminal. Forging a will is fraud. Do you understand the implications? I understood. My daughter could go to jail. My daughter, who I had raised to be honest, to be kind, to value people over possessions. I need to think, I said. That evening, Emily called. Mom, we need to talk about the timeline. Derek found a great apartment for you in that community near the mall. 2 bedrooms, very affordable. I found the real will, Emily. Silence. What? Your grandmother's actual will. The one she showed me before she died. The one that leaves the house to me. That's impossible. You're confused. Stop saying that. Stop trying to make me doubt myself. I'm not confused. I'm not grief-stricken. I'm not losing my mind. And I know exactly what you and Derek did. Mom, I don't know what you think. You forged a will. You stole from me. You tried to gaslight me into thinking I was crazy. Your own mother, Emily. I heard Derek's voice in the background, urgent, saying something I couldn't make out. We can explain, Emily said, her voice smaller now. Derek thought. Derek thought? Or you thought? Because I need to know, Emily. I need to know if this was all Derek manipulating you, or if my daughter really looked at me and decided I was worth stealing from. The house is worth $1.2 million. Mom, do you know what Derek and I could do with that money? We have dreams, plans. So sell your own house. Work harder. Save. Do what everyone else does. You don't steal your inheritance from your mother while she's still alive and grieving. You're being dramatic. We weren't going to throw you out on the street. You were going to let me think I was losing my mind. You were going to make me doubt my own memories, my own mother's words to me. Do you know how cruel that is? Emily's voice hardened. What are you going to do? I don't know yet. But you need to understand something. The woman you tried to manipulate, the woman you thought you could gaslight and control, she's done being your doormat. She's done questioning herself to make you comfortable. And she's done pretending that love means letting people hurt her. I hung up. The next 3 weeks were a nightmare. Emily hired a lawyer, a shark named Patricia Vance who specialized in estate disputes. They claimed I had coerced Mom into changing her will, that I had isolated her from her granddaughter, that Mom had been confused in her final years, and I had taken advantage. We sat in mediation, me on one side, Emily and Derek and their lawyer on the other. Patricia Vance laid out their case with clinical precision. Mrs. Morrison was clearly suffering from dementia in her final months. Catherine took advantage of her mother's diminished capacity to manipulate her into changing her will. My mother didn't have dementia, I said quietly. She had cancer. Her mind was sharp until the day she died. That's your claim, Patricia said. But we have witnesses who will testify to concerning behaviors. What witnesses? Derek leaned forward. Remember when your mom forgot my birthday? When she called me Dan instead of Derek? When she couldn't remember what year it was? My jaw dropped. She was on morphine, Derek. She was dying. She mixed up names because she was in pain and heavily medicated, not because she had dementia. That's one interpretation, Patricia said smoothly. A court might see it differently. Are you threatening me? I looked at Emily. Are you really going to drag your grandmother's name through court, claim she was incompetent, all to steal a house? Emily looked away. Derek put his hand on her arm, possessive, controlling. How had I not seen this before? How had I not noticed the way he spoke for her, decided for her, pushed her into corners she might not have chosen on her own? The house should be Emily's, Derek said. She's young. She has her whole life ahead of her. You're what, 62? You could downsize. You don't need all that space. I don't need all that space, I repeated slowly. That's your argument? That I'm too old to deserve the house my mother left me? We're just being practical, Derek said. No, you're being greedy. And you're using my daughter to do it. The mediation ended with nothing resolved. Patricia warned me that going to court would be expensive, exhausting, and public. Emily cried and said I was tearing the family apart. Derek sat there with that smug expression, already planning how he'd redecorate. That night, alone in Mom's house, I sat in her sewing room again and really looked at the note she'd left me. You were always enough. When had I stopped believing that? When had I started thinking I had to prove my worth, justify my existence, shrink myself to make other people comfortable? I called Mr. Foster. File whatever we need to file. I'm not backing down. Are you sure? This could get ugly. It's already ugly. And I'm tired of pretending it's not. The case took 4 months. 4 months of depositions and medical records and testimony from Mom's doctors confirming she had been mentally sharp. 4 months of Emily not speaking to me, except through lawyers. 4 months of Derek's social media posts about elder abuse and greedy boomers that his friends liked and shared. But here's what they didn't count on. Mom's best friend, Dorothy, who had been there every week, who had witnessed Mom's clarity, who had actually helped her hide the second will because Mom had confided her fears that Derek was pressuring Emily to challenge the inheritance. Your mother knew, Dorothy testified. She told me, Dorothy, I love Emily, but Derek's got his claws in her. I see the way he looks at this house. I see the way he counts my money, and I won't reward that. Catherine earned this house with every day she showed up, every meal she made, every night she sat with me when I was scared. The house is hers. The judge reviewed both wills, the forensic analysis of the forged signature, the testimony from Dorothy and the doctors and Mr. Foster. And then she looked at Emily and Derek with an expression that could freeze hell. I have seen many estate disputes in my courtroom, Judge Morrison said, but rarely have I seen such blatant fraud coupled with such disrespect for a parent. The forged will is inadmissible. The house belongs to Catherine Brennan, as her mother intended. Furthermore, I am referring this case to the district attorney for possible criminal charges. Emily went pale. Derek stood up, furious. This is bullshit! That house should be— Sit down. The judge's voice was ice. You're already in enough trouble without adding contempt of court to your problems. We left the courthouse separately. I didn't look at Emily. I couldn't. But 2 weeks later, she showed up at the house. Alone. I almost didn't answer the door. But I saw her through the window, crying, and some part of me, the mother part, couldn't ignore that. What do you want, Emily? To apologize. To explain. Till she broke down. Mom, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Are you sorry you did it? Or sorry you got caught? She flinched. Both. Is that horrible? Both. Mom, Derek told me we needed that money for his business. He said you didn't need the house, that you'd be better off somewhere smaller, that we were helping you even if you didn't see it that way yet. And I believed him. I wanted to believe him because I loved him, and I thought that's what love was, going along with his plans, supporting his dreams. Even when his dreams meant stealing from me, I didn't think of it as stealing. I thought Grandma would have wanted me to have the house if she'd really understood how much Derek and I needed it. I thought— She wiped her eyes. I thought wrong. About everything. Where's Derek now? Gone. When he realized he might actually face charges, he left. Turns out his business opportunity was a fantasy. Turns out a lot of things were fantasy. And I'm left here, looking at what I did, what I almost did, and I can't— Her voice broke. How do I live with this? How do I live with almost destroying my own mother for a man who ran the first time things got hard? I wanted to comfort her. Every instinct screamed to pull her close, to say it was okay, to forgive and forget. But I couldn't. Not yet. Emily, you didn't just go along with a plan. You called me confused. You tried to make me doubt my own mind. You were willing to let me think I was losing my grip on reality. Do you understand how violating that is? I know. And I hate myself for it. Hating yourself doesn't fix it. It doesn't undo the damage. Then what do I do? How do I make this right? I looked at my daughter. Really looked at her. She was 30 years old, but in that moment, she looked like the little girl who used to climb into my lap after nightmares, trusting me to chase away the monsters. Except this time, she had been the monster. You start by getting help. Therapy. Real therapy. To figure out why you were willing to betray someone who loved you for someone who didn't. You start by doing the work to understand yourself, why you're so afraid of not being enough that you'll do anything to feel secure, even destroy the people who actually care about you. And then we see. Maybe one day I can trust you again. Maybe one day we can rebuild. But Emily, I can't have you in my life if you're going to treat me like an obstacle to your happiness instead of a person who deserves respect. She nodded, tears streaming down her face. I understand. I do. And Mom, I know I don't deserve to say this, but I love you. I really do love you. I love you too. That's why this hurts so much. After she left, I sat in Mom's sewing room again, holding the emerald bracelet. The birthday I had planned for Emily had come and gone without celebration. The bracelet stayed in its box. But here's what I learned. Love doesn't mean accepting cruelty. Love doesn't mean making yourself small so other people can feel big. Love doesn't mean financing your own mistreatment. I sold the house 6 months later. Not because Emily and Derek had been right about me downsizing, but because I didn't want to live in a place that held so much pain. I bought a small cottage near the beach, joined a book club, started volunteering at the library. Emily sent cards sometimes, asked to meet for coffee. I wasn't ready. Maybe I would be someday. Maybe not. Dorothy helped me sort through Mom's things before the sale. We found boxes of quilts, each one marked with a name and date. There was one for me, of course. But there was also one for Emily, made before the cancer diagnosis, before the fighting over the will, before everything fell apart. The tag read, "For Emily, on her wedding day." May she choose love that builds her up, not love that asks her to tear others down. Love, Grandma. I packed that quilt carefully and mailed it to Emily without a note. Because even though I wasn't ready to forgive, even though I might never fully trust her again, I could honor what Mom had wanted. For Emily to understand the difference between real love and the kind of love that costs you your soul. 3 days later, my phone rang. Emily's number. I let it go to voicemail. Mom. Her voice was thick with tears. I got the quilt. I read what Grandma wrote. I'm starting therapy next week. I'm not asking you to forgive me or even talk to me. I just wanted you to know that I'm trying. I'm really trying to become someone worthy of that quilt, someone worthy of being your daughter again. I love you. I saved the message but didn't call back. Some bridges, once burned, can't be rebuilt. Some can, but they require foundations that haven't been poured yet. All I knew was that for the first time in years, I wasn't questioning my own worth. I wasn't shrinking to fit someone else's expectations. I wasn't confusing enabling with love. I was enough, just as I was. Mom had known it, and finally, after 62 years and one brutal awakening, I knew it too. The ocean outside my new cottage whispered against the shore. I wore the emerald bracelet every day now, not saving it for a special occasion, not waiting for the right moment, just wearing it because it was mine, because Mom had wanted me to have it, because I deserved beautiful things without having to justify why. And if Emily ever earned her way back into my life, really earned it, maybe one day I'd tell her that story. Maybe one day I'd explain that the bracelet, like love, like trust, like respect, isn't something you inherit just because you're family. It's something you earn by showing up, by being honest, by treating people like they matter. But that day wasn't today. Today, I was enough all by myself, and that, finally, was enough.